Now, there are mining executives, and then there are operators who build leverage when the world is asleep. Now, while most of the sector chased headlines, our next guest, Lewis Black, spent years assembling one of the only meaningful non-Chinese tungsten platforms on the planet. Not talking about supply chain security, building it. And that's right, Lewis Black, the CEO of Almonty Industry, is finally here with us. And, today I can tell you governments, they're scrambling and defense budgets, they're expanding. Industrial policy is rewriting capital flows, and tungsten, I mean, Lewis, it's quietly moved from obscure metals to strategic pressure points. So you didn't pivot into relevance, you grew it. And if our investors, our audience right now wants to understand where hard assets intersect with geopolitical reality, this is the one I think you'd probably want to listen closely to. Lewis, it is so great to have you back, and I absolutely love sharing the screen with you, although you steal the spotlight all the time.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you. I'd just like to point out that I put a tie on today. It's not a court appearance. I'm not in trouble. I just thought I would scrub up in preparation for next month's a ceremony that we're having. So I'm putting on my best pair of shoes. I even went and bought a brand new suit, which I'm very proud of. Let's hope that I look suave and sophisticated when I stand in front of more than 200 politicians and government members from the US and from Korea next month, and I don't say anything that causes any diplomatic rift.
Well, this
But
is true. And you're ready to go. Look at you all dapper. So I'm going to hand the screen over to you. The audience is your oyster, Lewis
th
Black, only
Thank
Lewis
you very
Black.
much. Well, let me just get this thing done firstly. I mean, it's sorry, the old way
Now,
of doing it, which was highly unprofessional, was much simpler to deal with. Okay.
Now, Lewis, just while
Yes.
you're getting that sorted out, I'm going to let
Oh,
you know that
sugar.
you have your 20 minutes and I'll come on at about the 3 minute mark just to give you a soft warning, like our Q&A
Oh,
is about to
wait,
start, okay?
wait, one thing at a time. I got to just work this out. Where's the share button? Ah,
Lewis Black, everyone. Lewis Black.
where's the share button? Teams is so much easier. Where's the share button? Mario, where's the share? Oh, here it is.
There
Okay,
we
there
go.
we are. Right, I've got to go to that. Share. Okay, can you see it?
Not yet. There we go. Let's get
All
you
right,
into
full
full screen
screen.
mode.
There we go. How's that?
It's going to take a moment. So yep, there you go. It's all
All
yours.
right. Okay, thank you very much. So, right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lewis Black. I'm the founder, president, CEO of Almonty, and this is my story. As you can see from this first slide, I've gone for the whole James Bond villain look. According to the lawyers that now run my life, I was not allowed to appear in this picture with a white cat, although I was tempted to. But whenever I look at this picture, it reminds me of what was here before, which was absolutely nothing. And so it gives you a sense of the journey that all of us have been on. And when I say all of us, I'm not just talking about Almonty, I'm talking about shareholders, because I'm first and foremost a shareholder. And a lot of you watching this, and this is why I continue to do this forum, because this is one of the few opportunities I have to speak to you. A lot of you have been in this as long as I have. And so we bear the scars of this. And when you look at this slide, you realize how far we've come. So, I mean, I think, most of you are very familiar with Almonty. We obviously have the projects you're familiar with. What I didn't have last time I spoke to you was, of course, Montana. I'd like to point out that there is more in the works, but I'm not going to cover greatly over the other projects. I think Portugal speaks for itself. Korea is now opening as now as we speak. I've got a great, this is when I thought I was going to get a little time off, and now I'm knee deep in the moly, in the tungsten oxide. Los Santos is now moving to reopening. Finally, we've working through with all the prepping the site. And Montana, we hope to have some updates to give you all later about progress there. What I would like to say is we've all been on quite a journey. We've copped a lot of abuse from a lot of some of these people who want to be in tungsten, and they think that tearing strips out of me personally and out of our company is good business. It's not. I will defend to the hilt the value in this company for the benefit of all of our shareholders, including myself. As the second largest shareholder, I am very much invested in that. And I'm a great believer that data speaks for itself. We're a data-driven business. It doesn't matter how you try and present yourself if the data does not support it. What the market is saying, and the multiple analysts who cover us, and the tier one and tier two banks, and all of the good stuff have identified, starting really with the journey of the KFW, is that our data is verifiable, supportable, and has been due diligenced to death. Much as I've enjoyed all of the rumors that have been said, and some of them are really quite imaginative, I think it's poor business by some of our sector, especially the Antipodeans, to try and have a bit of a pop at us to try and make themselves feel better. We are diligent in what we do. We are proud of what we do. We are supported by multiple governments for a reason. And this year is going to be a quite magnificent year for this company, not just because Korea is opening and because, of course, the price of tungsten has gone completely crazy, but because of what now we're being pulled in to also work on within the tungsten space. So all I would say is let the data support your vision rather than your mouth. Anyway, moving on. Well, the markets have been good for us. We've done everything that we were told we couldn't or shouldn't, starting with the fact that in Canada, I was clearly told that unless I made a deal with the usual suspects, I could never finance Samdong, let alone with a tier one project finance lender. We did that. Then I was told we couldn't get hard floor contracts with no cap on the upside. Well, we did that. Then I was told we couldn't get premiums on our material for long-term supply contracts. Well, we did that. Ultimately, we deliver because it's my money. And I don't do things for a story. I do things for value. We have, as we announced last year, started commercial production underground. We have already overcapacity in our ROM pad. The material is as we expected. Actually, we were a little bit too conservative in our block model, but that's okay. I'll take that. We, of course, have done a NASDAQ listing. And that's another thing we were told we shouldn't do. We were said, oh, you can't go to the NASDAQ. No one is going to care. It's a stupid idea. The due diligence is too intensive. The scrutiny is too focused. You'll fail because you're a junior miner. Well, we passed. We succeeded. And all I can say is if you want to list on the NASDAQ, be prepared for the fact that you are highly scrutinized. You are demanded that you perform at an extremely high level of diligence, and you've got to behave yourself. These are some things that many juniors struggle with. We have, of course, as I said, NASDAQ listing. The first commercial mining has already commenced in December. The drilling is now fully underway at the Molly. I was hoping to get some data by the end of this month. It's going to be in March now. But the results are showing us the clear path for the mine plan. Of course, we bought the Montana asset, which we identified to us as the best project. And I want to be clear here, because we believe something is the number one project doesn't mean that other projects are not good. So this is one of the things someone said to me, oh, how can you do this? We look at things in our orbits, what we consider to be viable, long-term, that's our assessment. It doesn't mean that other projects are not worthy in the US. It's not what we say at all. It's just for us, the Gentum project was the best project. The number two project we're actually now also discussing with. Now, they're not one of the ones that are out there promoting, so before you all rush and start buying stock. But ultimately, we will have a presence in the US. It will take time, as all the US projects, regardless of metals, are, because it is a long process, even with government support. But we think it's important to have a North American presence. And of course, I mean, this slide is, I think with the tungsten market, the price of tungsten has gone bananas. But at the same time, there's something to remember. This is the first time in 30 years that the price of tungsten has actually breathed. For 30 years, the price of tungsten was managed. Now, for the first time, it's free. It's essentially operating in a marketplace. Where does it settle? I don't know. It could be higher, it could be lower, but ultimately, it's going through its transition now from essentially a managed price to a free market price. And this is something which rarely happens in economics. And I think the only way I can really assess it is to look what was the price of copper 30 years ago and what is copper price now to see how a metal that has freely traded over a generation has behaved. I would expect a similar response from tungsten. The good news is, despite all my customers complaining that anything more than sort of anywhere between 0 and 3 is an abomination to pay, ultimately you can't substitute tungsten and you use very little of it in the end process. So does this have a meaningful impact on end use margin? Not essentially. My customers will all argue with me, but I know ultimately you only use a small fraction of it. And case in point, we haven't seen any dramatic increases in tools, munitions, wear parts in the last 12 months outside of normal inflationary rises. So I think where the price settles, I don't know. My long-term view is that I need, as a company, to stay in a $300 MTU mindset. No one spends money quicker or more efficiently than engineers, geologists, and metallurgists. They are all chomping at the bit to get their teeth into a $1,775 MTU price. But if we are really going to be the company that I always intended it to be, we have to keep this $300 mindset. We have to be lean, we have to be efficient, and we have to be, aggressive in managing cost. So this is really a new challenge that I had not anticipated when we started this journey 8 years ago in Korea. I think that, I think the background, the macro of tungsten is the stars have aligned wonderfully. As my father would have said, may he rest in peace, better be lucky than smart. Who knew when they told me I'd never own Samdong back in the day because it was with Dundee, it was with Wolf, it was with IMC. I had no chance. I ended up owning it. And then we fast forward to today that the geopolitics said that owning formerly the world's largest tungsten mine and opening right now would be, I mean, who would anticipate this situation? The market seems to have, because obviously we perform very well in the market, but ultimately commodities and the cyclical nature of commodities is that being there in the right time and the right place is essential, and that comes from longevity. We've done this longer than anyone else, and I can pretty much bet my bottom dollar that we'll still be around long after a lot of these other individuals who are coming into the market right now are long gone. We are the true original. I'm not going to beat my drum, but I may not be, I may not have the greatest relationships with much of my sector because I demand performance, but I have a very healthy relationship with the consumers of this product. They trust me. I've earned that trust, and I fight for value, not for a headline. Look, I mean, China, has been consuming. I mean, for the last 10 years, their output has dropped by 3% a year, and their demand has increased by 15%. What we're seeing now is inevitable. When it was going to happen, no one really knew, but it was inevitable. They were not going to continue feeding raw materials into our sector forever. So these are, our timelines. We're going to put this out because I know what you're waiting for. We're going to get to it. Deep breath. Hope you're all sitting down. But this is really, we have a great deal of work to conclude this year. A great deal. Last year was busy. This year is even busier. We don't need to talk about this. Everyone who's on this call and is watching this knows that tungsten is smoking hot right now. It's rare, it's scarce. It's scarce in the West, it's scarce in China, it's scarce in Russia. Rare earths, graphite, lithium is not rare. Tungsten is. Plus, when you add the fact that unless you understand how to essentially extract it and process it, you will fail. And when I say fail, this price makes everyone look heroic. But when you have, sub 50% recoveries, every day you work, you're losing 25, 30% of your resource. That's not success. That's throwing away your money and my money for no reason. Demand is rebalancing. China competes now with Western consumers for the same material. We've never worked with traders. We like them. We know them. They're good guys. They serve a very, very valid function in commodities. But we've always enjoyed direct relationships with consumers because consumer, as I said, trusts us, and that's why they support us. And that's a very important distinction. Don't take my word for it. Look at the data of what we receive from our sector. Military spending, and also we've seen dramatic increases in China in military spending, and that's also had a disproportionate effect in taking in the material. So this is, of course, a slide which I think is very informative as to the position, but I know what you're waiting for, and I'm running out of time, and there's going to be questions, so I better get on with it. This you've seen, we're working on it. Tungsten oxide now is coming into the fore. As phase one comes online, we'll move straight to do the phase two underground in the galleries. And we're already working, assembling the team for tungsten oxide. We have the land, we have a location now. It's funny, actually, building in a foreign country is a huge learning experience. I'm going to end up somewhere between 26 to 28% over budget, which I'm not happy about. But then someone reminded me that we priced this pre-COVID, pre-2019, so not too bad. And I've seen in this journey places that I could have done better. I'm about to do it again in the tungsten oxide and then again in the molybdenum. So I'm figuring that each time I do this in this territory of South Korea, I'm going to get a little better and a little bit more efficient. I wasn't happy being over budget. I really wanted to be right on the money, but it is what it is. I understand the reasons behind it, and I've seen areas that I can improve upon next time. When next time's beginning this year, I'm going to just seamlessly move into the next build in the country. It's big, unlike anything else, and it's visible and it's well defined. At least two of our 10 areas are. We know one of the other areas that was looked at by Korea Tungsten and the government has vast amounts of high-grade tungsten as well. I would say, I know, I will never see the depletion of this project in my lifetime. Maybe my grandchildren could, but I won't. And my son is unlikely to either. Our relationships speak for themselves. And I think, not that I want to say anything positive about any customer because they're always giving me a hard time, but we've tried to work, specifically with the best of the best customers, the best lenders. It's important. Montana is underway. We have a bulk of the permits, but we're going to start some drilling when the snows recede in April. I'd like to see on a very small scale some throughput by the end of this year. This is going to be an organically evolving project. I would say that you wouldn't really see this move the needle for 2 to 3 years. I could be wrong, but I'm not placing a huge, vested focus on this. I want it to find its feet within Almonty. Portugal, she keeps on going. I mean, this is a great example of data. This is a large-scale, low-grade deposit in a high-cost country. How is it possible, even before prices exploded, I was making money? The data speaks for itself. If I can make this work in that environment, imagine what I can do with a project like Korea. And in this price environment, that of course becomes supersized. I haven't even modeled at this price. It doesn't even look, the numbers don't even look real. But this mine gives me the knowledge and therefore the credibility with governments and with lenders and with the wider investing community here in the United States to do what I do. and I can still make money in a low price environment in this old girl. So that is when I say, let the data speak for itself. Get yourself a calculator and get yourself a brain, and you can go through anyone else's data and you can then really see the picture of what they are or what they claim to be or what they're not really, what they really are not. The team is the team. We've added to the C-suite. I think that was a big move for me. I don't like the cost of C-suite, but I also appreciate I am one person, and even though I work 7 days and I don't sleep a great deal, and I've got quite a few gray hairs on my beard now, um, it's important for the company to be more efficient. And so I think we are doing well in essentially bringing in personnel that I feel adds to the discipline and efficiency of the company. They may not have extensive mining backgrounds, but let's be perfectly honest. A lot of the mining guys, execs who are not working for the big majors, perhaps aren't the greatest fit for me. What I've gone for are people who execute smart, efficient, self-disciplined. Very important. We don't have to talk about this. This is self-evident. Now, oh, okay, you saw it. Here we go. What I'm going to show you is Sam Dunn. I'm going to show you why this has taken as long as it's taken, why this is not just us pitching up in a flat piece of land, building some scaffolding and putting in a rod mill and a bore mill. This is a mine that's been built to last more than 100 years. It is a mine built to the Equator Principles, highest level of international standards of ESG. It's highly automated in a replication of many of the largest copper mines in the world. It is highly digitized. It's also been built for a larger throughput than the original design of 640,000 tons. It's been built with maintenance in mind, with expansion in mind, that if we have to swap out servers because they've upgraded automation, AI systems, we can do this simply. It doesn't require shutdowns. We can swap out equipment. We have contingencies to stop bottlenecks. We are operators. We've approached this as an operator, not as a marketeer. And at the end of the day, we have built something that we have a high level of confidence in the process. I've heard the rumors, from my competitors. You know, what can I say? I understand our failure is important to you because when Sandong comes online and it generates data as we've always done, past and present in our company, showing we know what the hell we're doing, you've got a really big reputational problem to exist. It's terrible, I know. It's like a death knell for you, Sandong. But you should embrace it because if we can do it and we can bring more greater visibility and success to this sector, it's good for you. But ultimately, to me, this is a project of passion and diligence. We want and are the best in what we do, regardless of what others say, and the market agrees with us. So we'll start with the small intros. It's big. It's a big scale project. Everything is climate controlled because, of course, we have warm winters, warm summers, we have cold winters. This, of course, is one of our main portals, the Alphonse D. The waste comes out of here. There are things like the containers and stuff will be fixed at some point. And now we start getting into the extensive nature of this. As you can see here on the grounds, we've still got a concrete, but when the snows recede, these were taken about 2.5 weeks ago. When the snows recede fully, we'll finish the infrastructure on the ground. But as you can say, conveyors, everything is isolated from the climate, which is important. And here we start getting into the nuts and bolts of this thing. I know you're all pressing your faces up to the screens. This is not an installation that's been done without real thought. We've done this for 136 years. We know how tungsten behaves. You wouldn't build this type for tin or for copper in this regard. But this is tungsten, and this we do. It gives you some idea of the scale of this. It is an enormous undertaking. And we have ultimately now gone through our dry commissioning. Wet commissioning is underway. And we have scheduled for March 17th, the completion ceremony, where I'm wearing my brand new suit and I'm going to be addressing over 200 government officials and politicians with the world's media descending on us to celebrate the opening of formerly the world's largest tungsten mine in South Korea. We were going to give them a tour of the place, but there are too many of them, so we're going to do a big video walkthrough. But I want you to see that this has not been a small undertaking. This is something which has taken time in planning, building on a narrow site on the edge of a mountain in a non-mining jurisdiction we are connected to the grid. We are connected to potable water. You flush the restrooms in this project, go straight into the main sewers that are connected to our village, to the local town that's adjoined to us. But ultimately, this has been something which has been, it's not been easy. Um, would I do it again? Well, I'm going to, and I'm going to I got smarter the second time I'm going to do it, but this has been something which is quite something to look at. Oh, and by the way, just in case you want to know, this on my left, is our water treatment plant. I remember there was a scandal put out by one of our Antipodean competitors who said, "Oh, how can they have a water treatment plant? It'll freeze in the winter." No, we're not as, we've done this before. And this gives you an idea of the automation, the levels of servers that are installed in this to run it. We were able to use AI efficiently because we have a lot of data and a lot of knowledge in this sector. We were able to feed the Siemens AI very efficiently. And here on, I believe this is the last slide, is the site. Welcome to Samdong. Before I forget, before this thing's thing, I'm coming up with an idea and I'm talking now to not institutions, or I'm talking to the shareholders that have been with me for a long time, us smaller guys. Well, not me, but the other smaller guys. I'm going to run a thing where we're going to send out a message to everybody. You got to send me your details. And I'm going to choose two people completely randomly, retail guys who've been this for at least 3 years. And on my own dime, I'm going to take you out to Korea and we're going to do a walkthrough. You know what? Because ultimately, you guys are a part of this story. Together, you and me, we built this. And I think it would be great for two of you to come out. We'll have a bit of a laugh and we'll have a little bit of a cry of what we've gone through to get to this. But you can share in this with me. I mean, if you look on this picture, look on the right here, and behind my James Bond villain sign, we have ore is as I said, the ROM pads are even now more full than this. But I think having, to be able to host a couple of my smaller retail guys whose lives have been changed by this, with what's happened with the stock, it would mean a lot to me for them to come out and share it. And so this is our profile. And I just put this last piece in because I've now got to finish up for the questions, where I've got future projects, question mark. We are working on things. Watch this space. We have plans afoot. Needless to say, I would say that by during this year, the end of this year, we will be in an unassailable position in the West in the output and longevity of tungsten production. And we're able to do this because, as I've said before, we've done this for 136 years. We've been in this the longest, and we will remain in this the longest. So on that, I'll turn over, Lindsay, sorry, it went longer than I know you liked, for any questions.
Yes, we run a very, very tight ship around here for sure. Such a great presentation. And again, so much insights there. So I hope you all have your pens and your paper and you've been taking some notes for sure. We have a few questions that have come in and we're going to probably not get to all of them, but we'll get to some of them. The first one is, when will the Molly drill results be released? Thank you and great work.
In early March, because otherwise there's going to be an engineer that we're going to get our pitchforks and burning torches out to chase. He has promised me the geologists will finish their review. Drilling is well underway, but now I'm waiting for obviously all the assessments from our QP. But March, we'll have updates to give on the Molly in March.
Perfect. The next one is, do you have plans now even further for a takeover?
To take someone over?
You to be taken over.
I can't control that. I mean, we have something that people need. A year and a half ago, they wanted it. Now they need it. I don't know how, this is going to manifest itself, but rest assured, much as my heart runs this business, my head is in charge and
Fair
my
enough.
head is the investor. If something comes into our orbit that makes sense for all of my shareholders, not just me. I mean,
Mhm.
and I'm not just talking about the big institutions. I'm talking about the friends of the family. If this makes sense, I will support it as I did previously when I exited the tungsten business all those years ago when we sold Panascara for 21 times earnings.
Okay, next one. How many tons have been mined in Sangdong so far in January, and has anything been sold yet?
No, we haven't sold anything because, well, we don't need to. And we would start generating data during March. That's when we'll start probably pushing out some, well, lower spec material. But ultimately, we don't need the cash flow to justify our existence. What we need is performance. So I'm not racing. As I've always said, I walk to the finish line, not run. The wet commissioning is now underway. Data will start being generated in March. And I would like to feel that during that month, next month, I can start showing performance and therefore deliverables.
Well, I mean, all of it is incredibly exciting. There is so much happening here between, Montana's development, between Sangdong now, where it is now, between the two people that you're going to bring to Korea, and
And
I'm
don't
going to
forget
dip
my
my
tungsten oxide. That's now underway as well. So
right
the downstream.
downstream. So there's a lot happening there. I'm so happy to have you on with us. We're going to wrap it up here. Do you have anything more that you want to tell our audience that perhaps is something that they're still missing?
I will try and respond to every question that's sent to me. I really want to reassure everybody that as a shareholder, shareholders are so important. They're part of the team. We did this together. Take a pat and a victory lap. We built this together. It wasn't just me.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Louis, one more thing. What's your website and your tickers?
NASDAQ is ALM, TSX AII, and it's www.almonty.com.
The best. Thank you again, Louis. I'm sure that we will talk soon and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Lindsay.